So contents of this topic is semiconductors, conductors, semiconductors and insulators, intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductors, and p-type and n-type semiconductors. These are the contents of the topic we are going to see. And materials according to electricity are broadly classified into three, and the first one is a conductor, and the second one is a semiconductor, and third one is an insulator. So conductors, metals like copper, silver, iron, gold are some of the examples of the conductors, and metals are the good conductors of electricity. And coming to the second one, semiconductors, which have the properties between the conductors and insulators, and these semiconductors or examples of these semiconductors are germanium and silicon. And another one is insulator, which does not allow the current to pass through it. We call them as insulators, and rubber and wood are the best examples. So we classify the material into three broad categories: conductors, semiconductors, and insulators. And conductors, electrons are free to pass from one side to another side of the material with minimal resistance. So I call them as conductors. And second thing is the semiconductor, whose property lies between the insulators and the conductors, and they act as insulators at room temperature or until they attain a particular specified condition. And third one we already know, insulator, which has no free electrons at all, and no current flows from one side to the another side, and this is the insulator. And the people who worked on these semiconductor materials are Volta and Faraday, so they contributed a lot for semiconductor materials. So as I said, semiconductor materials are broadly classified into two again: intrinsic semiconductors and extrinsic semiconductors. So what is meant by an intrinsic semiconductor and an extrinsic semiconductor? An intrinsic semiconductor is a semiconductor in its pure form. So all fourth group elements in the periodic table are pure semiconductors or intrinsic semiconductors. So for example, silicon and germanium fall into fourth group of the periodic table, p-block elements in the periodic table. So I call them as intrinsic semiconductors because they haven't formed any compound with any other materials. And see, this is the silicon. This is the silicon which has as I said, this is the fourth group element. So each have in the p block, and which has 4 electrons in the valence shell. So it's not that easy to lose the 4 electrons or to gain the 4 electrons to have a completely filled outermost shell, or instead of transferring electrons from one silicon to another silicon manages to share the electrons with the remaining or surrounding silicon atoms and forms covalent bonds. So this is how the silicon is arranged in a silicon crystal. If you heat the silicon crystal, there is a possibility that one of the electron may come out of the valence shell and fly off. So there is a temporary vacancy at that position, we call it as a hole, and there is a possibility that the electrons may move from one vacant to the vacant position, thus creating a temporary again hole at the other place. So electrons keep on moving into the holes, and holes may be moving to the other position. So the direction of the electrons, if the direction of the electrons is from right to left or up to down, the reverse is the direction of the holes, from left to right and bottom to top. Coming to the extrinsic semiconductors, how they are different from the intrinsic semiconductors. So intrinsic semiconductors, as I said, they are pure in form, and pure silicon and germanium are the examples where they do not form any compound with any of the material. And the next thing is extrinsic semiconductors. Impurities are added to the pure semiconductor, or impurities are added to improve the conductivity. So if I want to increase or change the conductivity of the semiconductor, I can use some impurities. So types of extrinsic semiconductors are p-type extrinsic semiconductor and n-type semiconductor. Upon adding some of impurities I get the properties like extrinsic semiconductor. As I said, see, if I add a trivalent element like a third group element like boron to the silicon, it replaces the silicon atom in the silicon crystal, and because it has only 3 valence electrons, those 3 valence electrons will pair up with the adjacent silicon atoms, but there is one unpaired electron in the lattice structure. So this electron is free to move now, and thus creating a hole, and the hole, as I said, how the hole and the electrons move in the opposite direction to each other, or the electron tries to move in the vacant position, thus creating another vacant position at another point. So this is the trivalent impurity where I am adding the boron to the semiconductor material like silicon. See, I am adding a fifth group element like phosphor to the semiconductor like silicon, where one silicon atom is replaced with the phosphor, which has 5 electrons in its outermost shell. So 4 electrons will automatically bond have a covalent bond with the silicon adjacent silicon atoms, but 1 electron is left. This extra electron will contribute for the excess electricity. This is how I can increase the conductivity of the pure semiconductor by either adding a trivalent or pentavalent substances to the tetravalent substances like silicon and germanium. Coming to p-type semiconductor, when a small amount of trivalent impurity such as indium or boron or gallium is added to the semiconductor material, then the resultant material formed is p-type material. So when I add a trivalent atom such as boron to the germanium crystal, so the germanium will be replaced by boron, and only boron has 3 electrons in the outermost shell, and there is the 3 electrons forms a covalent bond with the surrounding germanium crystals, but there is one vacant position left in the boron, and that vacant position we call it as a hole. So now the adjacent electron will try to jump in the temporary place which is created due to the lack of electron in a particular position. So that is how the electrons shift from one place to another place, creating a hole at the place where it has jumped from. So electrons from if the electrons jump from left to right, the holes will move from right to left, or in vice versa. So holes and electrons move in the opposite direction to each other. That's what I say. And this is the p-type. So upon adding a pentavalent substance to the normal germanium or tetravalent substance like semiconductor materials, I am getting n-type semiconductor material, and upon adding the trivalent substance to the semiconductor materials like silicon and germanium, I am getting the p-type semiconductor material. This process of adding the impurities, I call it as doping, and this doping process is very deliberately carried out. So impurities doesn't mean that their presence is very huge. So we add it very deliberately or very highly calculatedly, where the impurity part is 1 in million, or 1 parts per million is the impurity concentration in the pure semiconductor material. That's the accuracy, or that carefully we add the impurities to increase the and we call the intermediate level that is developed in the p-type material, we call it as an acceptor level. So there is an intermediate level between the valence band and the conduction band, and the electrons will occupy the acceptor level, and it is very easy for them to jump the conduction band from the intermediate level. So that is how adding an impurity to pure semiconductor is also called the doping impurity. When a small amount of pentavalent impurity such as an arsenic or phosphor is added to a pure germanium or semiconductor crystal, the resulting crystal, I call it as an n-type semiconductor. Why I call it as an n-type semiconductor? See, germanium is a tetravalent element of belonging to the 4th group of the p block, and I am going to add the 5th block element which has 5 valence electrons. See, one of the pentavalent atom will replace the germanium atom, and there is 1 electron left unpaired. This electron is now free to move throughout the crystal, thus increasing the thus increasing the conductivity of the material. So since there are more number of electrons than the usual pure germanium, I call it as a n-type material. So whenever I add a n-type or sorry pentavalent substance or pentavalent substance to the trivalent substance, I get a n-type semiconducting material. So and this is how the conductivity of the crystal can be increased by adding the impurity. So we create an intermediate level between the valence band and the conduction band. So jumping from the valence band to the conduction band requires lot of energy. So we are creating another intermediate level. We call it as either a donor level or acceptor level, depending on the type of material, n type or p type. And the electrons can easily jump from valence band to the intermediate level, and later it's very easy to jump to the conduction band. So this is about n-type semiconductor. So depending on upon the impurities we add, either we get n-type material or p-type material, and this is how p and n-type materials are formed. And the magic we are going to do with this p and n-type materials, we are already doing so many magics so far. We have developed diodes, we have replaced thermal walls in radios and televisions with the transistors and diodes, and we have been miniaturizing the circuits we are using. So every device is becoming compact. And another important what you call remarkable change we are going to bring in the field of electronics right now is the thermoelectric device. So this thermoelectric device, which is used or which is designed using p and n type materials, can create huge temperature difference on the both sides of this thermoelectric device. And this temperature difference can be used in many ways. I can use a coffee maker with this. I can use as a mini refrigerator, or I can construct a refrigerator. I construct a home heater. So I can use the same device for heating and cooling also. So this device is going to revolutionize the whole electronic industry in the coming 4 to 5 years, and the devices are going to become very compact, and the power consumption will be nearly the power consumption will decrease as 10 folds to the present what you call present conventional devices we are using. So power is going to you see these devices are going to use very less power, and we are moving in a power efficient techniques, and no doubt the world is going to change with this device. Let us see some of the applications of this, and I have designed some of the applications, or I have designed a mini air conditioner. I want to show it to you, or I want to share with you. This device I could able to produce as low voltages as as low temperatures as minus 16 degrees centigrade with the device. So I am going to show you with all practical, and be sure you always if you want to do the experiments at home, such sort of experiments, be sure you take all the precautions, because you are playing with high and low temperatures and high and low voltages and high and low currents. There is a possibility that sometimes the connections may go wrong, or the treatment of heat may go wrong, and there is a possibility they may burst, and there's a possibility that they may hit your eyes. So have safety goggles, and take safety precautions with while you are doing some of the experiments with electricity and all. And kids, if you are doing some of the experiments that I am going to carry out, definitely take the help of your parents. I prefer always you have slippers, and you use hand gloves, and you have use safety goggles, and concentrate on what you are doing, and making your brain 100% concentrated on the work you are doing, because it may hurt you. So take care while doing some of the experiments, and take the help of your parents as well. And this is all for the day, and follow up my experiments with this, right? Thank you very much.